Deep within rugged, remote mountains, there's a small village where time seems to follow its own rules. It's not that the clocks run slower or the sun rises on a different schedule. It's the people. They seem to be untouched by the aging process the rest of the world accepts as law. Here, wrinkles arrive late. Bodies stay strong for longer. And age, the one thing most of us fear, appears to be on a completely different timetable. At first glance, the village is ordinary. You see stone houses, narrow roads, and quiet mornings. But if you watch the people long enough, you realize something is off in the most fascinating way. Men in their 90s walk uphill without a pause. Women well past 100 are still cooking daily meals, laughing with full-throated joy, and arguing with fiery passion. What truly shocks visitors isn't just how long these people live, but how incredibly well they live while doing it. Doctors, scientists, and journalists have traveled thousands of miles to understand this place. They arrived, armed with notebooks, cameras, and dozens of theories. They tested blood, mapped intricate family trees, and measured everything imaginable. What they discovered challenged everything we thought we knew about getting older. Because in this village, aging doesn't arrive all at once, like a storm. It comes unevenly, slowly, and selectively. Some people might show gray hair early, but maintain the physical strength of someone decades younger. Others might lose some speed in their step, but keep a mental sharpness that defies their years well into extreme old age. It's as if time negotiates with each person individually, striking a unique bargain. The villagers themselves don't talk about longevity the way outsiders do. They aren't chasing youth or trying to turn back the clock. They don't track the years passing by. Birthdays are acknowledged, of course, but they aren't celebrated as major milestones. To them, growing old isn't a battle to be won or lost. It's simply a natural part of life, something that unfolds without fear or resistance. One of the very first things researchers noticed was movement. But this wasn't about structured exercise routines or gym memberships. It was constant, natural movement woven seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. Walking to a neighbor's home, climbing hills without a second thought, working with their hands well into their later years. Movement here isn't a task on a to-do list. It's a deeply ingrained habit formed over an entire lifetime. But movement alone couldn't explain what was happening. So, the focus shifted to food. What they found was simplicity. Meals are mostly local, and overwhelmingly beans, fresh vegetables, whole grains, and rich olive oil dominate the dinner table. Meat is a rarity, eaten sparingly, almost ceremonially. And importantly, meals are never rushed. Eating is a social event. People gather, they talk, they laugh, and they take their time. Stress, that invisible accelerator of aging, seems to lose its power at the dinner table. Still, many places in the world have simple diets and active lifestyles, yet they don't produce so many people living such long, healthy lives. So, the researchers had to dig deeper. They examined family histories and found something remarkable. Longevity often ran through generations, but not in the straightforward way you'd expect. It wasn't just about parents living long and their children following suit. Sometimes, siblings aged in dramatically different ways. One might look elderly at 70, while their brother or sister looked decades younger at 90. This stark difference couldn't be explained by genes alone. That's when scientists began to suspect another powerful factor was at play. Social structure. In this village, older people aren't pushed to the sidelines. They aren't seen as burdens. They are central to family and community life. Their opinions matter deeply. Their presence is valued. They help raise the children. They offer advice. They argue. They contribute. This profound sense of purpose doesn't fade with age. It endures. And as modern research is now confirming, a strong sense of purpose may be one of the most powerful protectors against rapid aging. Loneliness, which is known to accelerate decline in many parts of the world, is almost non-existent here. Doors remain open. Conversations flow constantly. Everyone knows everyone else's story. Even conflict is a communal affair. Problems are shared, not hidden away. To fester. Stress exists, of course, but it moves differently here. It doesn't pile up silently inside a person. It's expressed, discussed, laughed about, and ultimately released. Another strange pattern emerged when scientists analyzed health records. The diseases we typically associate with old age appeared much later than expected. Heart issues were less common. Certain neurological declines were significantly delayed, but the most unusual finding was this. Aging did unstrike all of the body's systems at once. In most modern societies, the body seems to decline in predictable layers. First mobility goes, then memory, then independence. In this village, those layers fall completely out of order. Some people might lose their hearing early, but keep their physical strength for years. Others might slow down physically, but stay mentally sharp as a tack. The decline is fragmented, not a stacked, inevitable collapse. This radically challenges the idea that aging is a single, monolithic process. Instead, it suggests that aging might be multiple processes, all happening at different speeds, influenced by our environment, our habits, our mindset, and our connections with others. The villagers themselves offer no grand explanation. When asked why they think they live so long, they just shrugged. Some credit the fresh mountain air. Others say, it's the food. Many simply say, this is just how we live. One man, well past his 100th birthday, once told a visiting researcher something that stuck with him for years. He said he never thought about how long he would live. He only thought about how well he would live today. That single sentence managed to rewrite years of scientific assumptions. Another factor that puzzled experts was the villagers' attitude toward hardship. Life here has never been easy. The terrain is rough, winters can be harsh, and work has historically been physical and demanding. Yet, instead of breaking people down, this hardship seemed to build resilience. Psychologists believe this steady exposure to manageable difficulty built a kind of mental toughness without the overwhelming, chronic stress that wears us down. Life was challenging, but it was meaningful. It was hard, but it was shared. Contrast that with modern life, where comfort is often high, but stress is constant, invisible, and often unresolved. And then there's the laughter. Researchers were struck by how often people laughed, teased each other, and told stories. Humor here is sharp, playful, and incredibly frequent. Laughter isn't reserved for special occasions. It's a part of daily communication. Some scientists now believe this constant emotional release plays a much larger role in slowing aging than previously understood. One theory is that chronic stress hormones accelerate cellular aging. In this village, stress is constantly diluted by connection, by humor, and by routine. It never gets the chance to dominate the body long enough to do lasting damage. Even their sleep patterns are different. People rise with the sun and rest when they're tired. Naps are common and completely unashamed. There is no guilt attached to rest. Productivity isn't measured by how exhausted you are at the end of the day. Modern researchers now refer to places like this as regions where people age differently, not just longer. The goal shifts from adding years to life to adding quality to those years. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery of all is what this village suggests about the rest of the world. If aging can slow down, fragment, and soften here, then maybe the rapid decline we see elsewhere isn't so inevitable. Maybe much of what we call normal aging is actually accelerated aging, caused by the way we live. This village doesn't have advanced healthcare. It doesn't have cutting-edge technology or the latest wellness trends, and yet, it quietly produces the one thing the modern world desperately wants. Time. Not endless time, but better time. Time lived with strength, with clarity, and with connection. The village isn't a perfect paradise. People still grow old. Bodies eventually slow down. Life still ends, but the journey to that end looks profoundly different from what most of us have come to expect. And that is the truly unsettling part, because it forces us to ask a question we rarely want to face. What if aging is something that just happens to us? What if it's something we are constantly shaping every single day through how we move, how we eat, how we connect, how we handle stress, and how we find meaning? The people of this village never tried to live longer. They just tried to live more fully. Longevity simply followed as a side effect. As the world races faster and faster, this quiet place stands still, reminding us that time isn't just counted in years, but in how deeply we live within them. And maybe, just maybe, the most unlikely truth of all is this: the secret to aging differently was never hidden. It was just ignored. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, consider subscribing for more journeys into the world's most incredible places.